which is why the last government introduced a bill in higher education in the light of woke tyranny.
Sir John Hayes just destroyed the Labour Party by criticizing them heavily for turning down a bill on free speech. The Parliament was shaken by the brutal reaction of the senior member, who called the party a woke tyranny, stunning the whole room with his stern comments.
I know the harm men can do with unfettered free will. Nevertheless, the ability to speak freely is the mark of a civilized, open society.
Recently, the British Parliament conducted a hearing regarding the free speech law, where it was disclosed that the Labour Party government had decided to revoke the law. The free speech law was a step taken by universities, colleges, and schools to ensure that students had proper freedom of speech on their campuses and in their academic institutions. Although the act was passed in 2023 as the Higher Education Freedom of Speech Act 2023, its implementation was revoked by the Labour Party in 2024 due to the complaints they received from the authorities about how the law might damage a student's welfare. The immediate reaction to the decision came from the senior MP Sir John Hayes, who gave one of the most astonishing speeches in the Parliament's history, which left everyone's mouth open.
This is why the last government introduced a bill in higher education in the light of woke tyranny. Now, I'm disappointed that the Honourable Lady, who I know is a diligent.
Sir Hayes' speech reminded the Parliament House once again how staunch the stance remains on confiscating freedom from people, even though he realizes the consequences of someone using it badly. He understood completely that the free speech law passed by the former government in 2023 was to control the woke tyranny prevalent in the UK. However, the recent action taken by the Labour Party to revoke the law once more and allow terror to reign freely in the universities was going to take the country back to where it began its course.
We allow debate on free speech, for George Orwell said, as she may know, that if liberty means anything, it means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear.
Sir John Hayes' speech shook everyone enough for them to go completely silent on the matter, with opposition leader Lucy Powell trying to convince the senior MP that it was only done to protect the welfare of students and thereby the quality and integrity of UK universities around the globe.
This government has been clear that in support of our world-leading global university sector, we want to end the culture wars that have ensued against our...
Now, the United Kingdom does hold some of the best universities in the world, and that is one of the sectors where they have a massive reputation to maintain. Additionally, these universities are further inhabited by thousands of students from different backgrounds, and a strict environment in such place requires much control over the structure, especially something as powerful as free speech, which, according to Lucy Powell, can initiate culture wars and create false divides.
Can I thank the Honourable Gentleman for that question? This government has been clear that in support of our world-leading global university sector, we want to end the culture wars that have ensued against our fantastic universities.
Now, this is not the first time Sir John Hayes has troubled his opponent, as he is recognized for his blunt and bold style of speech, particularly when he is displeased at someone or something. There have been many speeches made by the MP where he tore through an issue and tried his best to convince his fellow parliamentarians to see eye to eye with his views. Sir Hayes has been troubled about the recent changes arriving in the country, as there have been many extremist activities such as Islamophobic riots, Black Lives Matter rallies, and many more, which have damaged the country's peace and terrorized the citizens.
Gone are the days when half-hearted political careerists could retreat to the safe ground of mechanistic economic minutiae, for the new Battle of Britain has begun.
This was a war for Great Britain, according to Sir Hayes, during an adjournment debate where he pointed out the urgency of the matter. However, the times were not always like how they are now in the UK. Sir John reminisced how British history was proudly taught to the children at schools and colleges to familiarize them with their heritage and history. But now, everything seems to change as the left-wing zealots are hell-bent on getting rid of British history as well.
In years gone by, as my honourable friend said, children were taught about the exploits of our nation's heroes. Now left-wing zealots and their ill-educated acolytes are determined, by counselling the past, to dictate the future.
The aftermath and threat of these foul acts, which were planned perfectly to tarnish Britain's history, were colossal for the upcoming generations, making it a war of historical integrity, as Sir Hayes pressed in his usual and harsh choice of words.
Heroes remain vital, as my honourable friend said, for our shared sense of identity. By embodying the spirit of their times, they bring historical truths to life, so building our collective understanding of how our nation was fueled.
Being a teacher of history in the past, Sir John Hayes remains very critical of the recent modern terminologies and concepts that have emerged in the name of woke culture. He deeply hates the phenomena and the beliefs that the woke ideology has been preaching to the young generations, slowly pushing them towards the brink of cultural destruction.
As the former chairman of the Equality and Human Rights Commission, Trevor Phillips, the woke ultras who want to wipe away all symbols of British imperialism don't speak for the families who lived under the empire.
His desperation to save the generation from the cruel paws of woke culture is evident from his speech during a session of the Parliament.
We should celebrate the contribution of everyone to our country, whatever their background, their colour or creed. And of course, in that spirit, I welcome Black History Month. But history is very rarely a simple case of black and white, literally.
Sir Hayes believes that history is slowly becoming a matter of black and white, and only limited to gender equality, rather than focusing on the traits that followed the rise of the British Empire in the first place.
A proper appreciation of history is dependent on understanding the past was as complex as the present. The humanity is both flawed and capable of greatness.
Sir John Hayes, a man of culture, deeply symbolizes the importance of British history and its moral values. That's why his reaction to the present changes in laws and acts is so harsh and blunt. He emphasizes that history, with its good, bad, and ugly aspects, cannot be erased, and that we all are products of what came before.
I'm a trained history teacher. Of course I understand that there are different interpretations of history, but the problem that I was describing, I'm the Honourable Lady,
the idea that history could be reinvented is a totalitarian manipulation of truth. He believes that modern trends and changes are destroying the legacy of British heritage and making the upcoming generations forget about the nation that they belong to. He fights against it and hopes that the nation gets back on the track that once embezzled the crown of Great Britain.
In years gone by, children were taught about figures who unite us, regardless of background or circumstances, in a shared love of the country.